How do you make a document full screen?
Back up so I can see.
It's on full screen now.
Yeah.
I got it.
Call this meeting to order at 3:04 p.m. We're going to start with roll call. The Director of Administration.
Present.
Here.
Here. Oh, here, sorry. Director Hernandez. Director Wong. Director Lee.
More personal privilege, can you speak up, please?
Senate President Smith.
Here.
Senator Burke. Here. Senator Rhodes. Here. Senator Tobin.
Here.
Senator Joseph.
Here.
Senator Thielen.
Here.
Senator DeRogario.
Excuse.
Senator Howard. Senator Cordova.
Here.
Senator Hernandez.
Oh, sorry. I jumped the gun on that one. Senator Newberry, excuse, sorry.
Senator Robinson. Here.
And now moving on to the approval of prior meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve non-meeting minutes.
Second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, last meeting minutes are approved. Prior to the approval of the agenda, we need to add a funding request for the call to the audience. For the Parks and Rec Student Association, it was last meeting we had asked them to submit another funding request for travel. I forwarded this set of materials. Are there any objections? Seeing none, I will have that go by me. Okay, is there a motion to approve this meeting agenda? Second, are there any objections? Seeing none, this meeting agenda is approved. Now moving on to the call to the audience. Prior to travel, we have a member from Tempe. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Meredith Bozeman. I'm a member of the Appropriations Committee on Tempe campus, and we're here to talk about Devil's Kitchen. We're trying to kind of figure out where they should be funded because we don't typically fund us on other campuses, but then when they came and talked to you guys, they were told they needed to table on this campus in order to receive funding. However, they are not able to do that. And then, so we emailed Vanessa in February, but we haven't heard a response yet. And so we're just they keep coming back to us, and we're not sure what to tell them. So we just want to kind of like figure out what we're supposed to do about this so that they can get funding.
Thank you. My question was when can we contact your director of finance? I would like to suggest that there is a ASDSU contact sheet that Director Leeds here has established with the other campuses. So that's another form that you can go online within the administration access. I'm not sure how you're able to do that within USGD, but Vanessa's phone number is on there as well as on the website. You can contact our other staff members as well. Contacts are being sent back and forth sometimes.
Okay.
Yes, Director.
Who emailed me? Emily Beaman, our chair, said she did.
I have not received an email. I'm very persistent on keeping up with my emails, and I would have seen that email had I received it. So maybe she put it in wrong, but I did not receive it.
Okay. We emailed other members, also I'm not really sure who said that you guys would look at the funding request and then it's been sent back. So we're just kind of confused because we've got mixed signals from you guys about I don't know, we just kind of want to figure out how to get funding because we don't fund events on other campuses. So we're trying to figure out how they can get funding.
So, I'm sorry, if you could just explain a little bit behind this. So it's the Parks and Rec Students Association, correct?
It's Devil's Kitchen.
Devil's Kitchen.
They do cooking events, and since there's no open kitchen on the Tempe campus, they hold their events on the downtown campus.
Okay, so that's where the problem is that it's a Tempe student, but the room that they need to utilize is on the downtown.
But all of their events are on the downtown campus, so we're unable to provide event funding because we typically direct student works that do funding on other campuses, that direct other campuses to seek funding from other campuses because it's difficult for Tempe students. We can't expect a majority of Tempe students to have access to an event on the downtown campus.
Yeah. Do you know if the majority of the students that are in this Devil's Kitchen, if they are majoritively downtown students, Tempe students, and mix?
Like the members themselves,
Are Tempe students?
for the most part, yes.
Okay. Okay, I guess I don't really have a good question to ask.
VP Hernandez, then Senator Cordero, Senator Robinson.
Thank you, Director Leeds, for a second conversation. I would like to address that. I have not heard of any of these events downtown. I oversee student engagement with multiple student organizations downtown and multiple student engagement in that office. We haven't seen any of that. It hasn't really been brought to my attention by any events downtown at this campus. A suggestion for that organization is to change their residency to Tempe possibly, so they can house their events there. Because most of the members are across the campus. I have not heard anything yet.
I'd like to be involved. So in regards, I will get to the senators in a second. In regards to this specific funding request we received from this organization, the reason we did not fund it is due to lack of marketing. And when they submitted the funding request, I may be a little wrong on how much time they gave us, but it was 1 to 2, maybe even 3 days from when the funding request would have been approved to when their event would have been held. So that's why we specifically turned it down. We noted that they were in a very, from my organizations and holding it on the downtown campus. If we wanted to approve it, we just felt that due to there being almost no marketing, there had been no outreach on the downtown campus, and that there was almost no time to get the supplies and also market. That's why we did not fund it. I will now yield the floor to Senator.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. They did approach us, and we did deny it as about reasons. So I don't know,
They did not communicate to us that it was 3 days beforehand. We typically expect 21 days, so I understand the 3 days is like, yeah.
We suggested them come back, just like compare like marketing and stuff for that, so.
Okay.
Maybe we should communicate with them.
Yeah, okay.
Senator.
Yeah, so is this organization, it's registered in Tempe, right?
It is, we've suggested that they consider moving to downtown.
But they don't want to move there.
I'm not sure, I actually haven't communicated with them. Yeah, so they submitted, since they submitted two temporary budget requests, so we're just trying to figure out. Yeah, so, okay, so we'll let them know that the reason was because of the time issue, and then try to figure out marketing on downtown. I think that one issue they had is they were told they had the table downtown, you know, they received downtown funding, and they don't go with us. Possible.
Well, it's, to my knowledge, in regards to, the approved organizations on the downtown campus who have to be registered on downtown to table downtown, and that's where that issue would come into play, that being registered in Tempe. If I might be too liberal on this, but if they were, can they create a separate club downtown as well? So I would say, communicate to them that they could, in addition to being registered in Tempe, they could create a, Devil's Kitchen Downtown Club, which would allow them to receive funding for events downtown, market specifically to downtown, market, use the Sun Devil Coalition downtown to reach out to other student organizations, and then also communicate what you would do, the timeline as well as the marketing. In specific to that case, I think other than that, it should be rather resolved. I'm going to go Senator VP Hernandez, Director Herb.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would also add in, as President is saying, tabling is very beneficial, but it helps all of our student organizations. And the fact that if they were registered in a county, be able to do that and help with the promotion of these events, and as well as marketing and stuff. So I highly suggest that. That's my personal suggestion. And they'd be more than happy to assist that organization to get established. Thank you, Director.
Okay, I figured out why I never got the email. My email was incorrectly. So if she sent the email, never got the capitalization error. Okay. Yeah, it was a technical error, so I just never received it. Okay.
I was just going to recommend, it seems like there's a lot of communication issues here, and I think a lot of misunderstanding. So perhaps during or after this meeting, grabbing Vanessa's contact information as well as VP Hernandez's, and then perhaps we can all collectively email them together to get on the same page. So thank you so much for coming. Sorry about this frustration.
Yeah, no, yeah, thank you.
Are there any more comments? Thank you so much for voicing that. We obviously want student organizations to be funded in full events that would benefit the community. And now moving on to follow-up for travel requests. Please, I think, Director Bird, would it be fair to have one of them speak for all of their experience, or would you rather them do it individually? Okay, could you guys speak individually to what this event was, how your money was utilized, what you're able to bring back to the community?
Okay, so I know that why, so the funding request was to go to New York for the IBS Awards and the events there and the conference there. It was utilized really well. We actually got to sit down and talk about got to sit down and speak with the president of IBS, Chris Columbus. It was very insightful where we got his information and everything, and he also taught us how to, podcast and different tips for that. And we're actually utilizing that in our new baseball podcast that we have, and so utilizing this has been fun and everything. And then we also learned about, among other things, about a whole new radio system to broadcast radio online and things like that. So basically a lot of conferences, a lot of things like that. And then of course, the IBS awards, we were lucky enough to, for Blaze Radio 2, walk away with 2 first place national awards along with several 8 or 10 nominations, national nominations. So it really felt great to represent ASU and Blaze Radio really well at once. So that was.
I'm Bridget. I'm the news director. I went to a lot of the workshops, specifically on like working with deans and administration, which is something we've kind of struggled with as far as getting our frequency and certain things approved. So that was really helpful. I also recently started working on a comedy sketch that goes on one of our late night shows. And there was a specific workshop for that with a guy who worked for Letterman and Jay Leno. So I went to that and he gave us tips. That was super helpful, and I'm actually working on that show today and implementing those comedy tips. It was amazing for Eliot and I to win Best News Promotion, and one of our students who recently graduated got Best Show Promo, and a lot of us were nominated. I think the best part for me was just networking with all those professionals and hearing about their different experiences, from Howard Stern to Letterman to WCBS in New York. So yeah, just networking with all those people.
My name is Matt Lehman. I'm a sports reporter and sports broadcaster. I was nominated for hockey play-by-play. I think, there are obviously a lot of different workshops, a lot of different speakers there. There was one that I really enjoyed that was basically just somebody kind of sharing their success stories. And it talked about it's not who you know, but who knows you. Just little tips like that, like just insight into the business that I could take with me. But also I just felt like for all of us to go, not just me. What's beneficial, because I think one of the things that makes the Cronkite School great is how competitive it is. Like it's really, really competitive. And I think the opportunity for us to kind of do the best we can to get these awards and get these nominations and get sent out there, I think it only entices and encourages and stokes that competitiveness of the Cronkite School and encourages other people to do well and get that opportunity to go do those things. And of course, there's also the networking opportunities like Dave mentioned, and just an opportunity to learn and grow and represent ASU on the other side of the country.
It sounds like this experience is very informative for you guys. I'm curious as to perhaps something you might put on for freshmen who are coming into your major and everything, as to kind of relay these tips and everything that you've learned. I'm curious if you thought about that, because now you're kind of rising as obviously 2 national awards, and you have a lot of clout around it. I'm wondering how you're going to translate that to the rest of the community.
Well, we're actually, a handful of us now are looking to apply to be in higher positions in Blaze Radio, and in that, tell these underclassmen and freshmen coming in about these experiences, about what this kind of hard work can turn into, and what we've learned in that regard. And at least for me, I know that I'm the tips that I've learned and beyond, I guess, but also just the hard work that it takes to get there, get to that place. That's something that will help.
Absolutely.
Every semester we have like a training session for each department, so I'm sure that's going to be during that.
Okay. Yeah, and I just want to really stress that point is that we love that you're going there, and we want to make sure that you're bringing this back to the community. So I'm really proud of you. I can please let us know how we can help you again.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
So Weston Wood, I was nominated for the Best Sports Talk Program, Eliot here. I'm the assistant sports director of the sports department. And what I loved the most about it was it just gave us more exposure. The networking obviously mentioned. We talked to Chris Thomas, the president of IDS. He shared his story with us. He talked to Eliot and I about here's a good way to expose your podcast, get more callers. And then we learned about a very specific organization that's just kind of getting set in stone. And it so focuses mainly on radio, online, just on a computer where you can essentially work on your computer. You don't need any boards or anything. I believe the organization was called Backbone. I can't remember off the top of my head, but we were speaking to the CEO of the company, the CFO, and he gave us a first-hand experience of how the equipment works and what the website is specifically used. And for me, being an assistant sport director who aspires to be the sports director next year, I think that that's something that as the radio station to gain frequency, as Bridget mentioned, we can potentially use that. And it it was a great way to experience all these new companies, new people, and try and implement it into our station as well. And then for me personally, being nominated was honoring enough as it was. I think this speaks for all of us that we were honored not to be in the first place. We're thankful for the funding request, obviously, and to expand and bring more exposure to the community.
I take more of like a background kind of laser do a lot of like the graphic design and like marketing promotional stuff and like different things like that. So going in, I was honestly slightly worried because I was like, I thought, oh, it's gonna be super like broadcast heavy, but that was not the case at all. And I was super excited. So I got to go to quite a few workshops about like copyright and like branding yourself and more of like that those behind the scenes role and like putting like your whatever you're representing your network out there and like how to get the most out of whatever you're doing and promoting and stuff and and even as an individual like creating a brand for yourself and where I can take myself in the future and so even like there's things being nominated was amazing and it was super cool. I was nominated for best promotional poster and so I thought that was really exciting because I know a lot of people behind the scenes work and those little things and I'm super excited to like move forward and like figure out how we can put ways out there in so much more in different ways and better like market for
I think that's a lot of like really good photos too, so we can use that as our website and
Noah, are you here for the award or a separate call? Separate. Okay, I believe Chance Brady are the ones. Chance Brady? Yeah. Can you guys speak to, I guess, Chance first and then Brady, if you guys speak individually to what you did at this event, how you utilized the funding, and what you brought back to the campus?
All right, for sure. For me, I'm not here for it was a great opportunity for all myself, but just playing radio in general. I was able to mainly network with so many people. I was able to take that knowledge of how I could expand my program. I spoke to some professional people who were kind of supervising other like PROs and also some people who had their own radio show. And I thought it was cool because I took back my ideas for my show and talking to some people who were part of the board, like things that they were looking for. Moving on to the next year. I also thought what do you say? I think they used to help our station grow street service. So people that didn't have. So not every radio station is as big as Blaze, so sometimes we need to go content. Other shows, to be a Blaze, that's something that I really pitch to our thing. I think that's that we should do. So our station and our show grow.
Great. Brady, could you please speak to what this travel funding was used for?
Absolutely, yeah. I use the funding just for the airline, back and forth from here to New York. But the convention itself, this is my second time going to the convention last year as a high school student. And duty and sports is all I can do. Whatever last year as a high school student, and people obviously will respect you more, give you more information on how you do. And so that was the main reason I wanted to go back was to get more information, to get more connections, and utilize that. I got a great connection. I'm actually going to be working with this summer. I already might have some friends that he goes to the University of Kansas and he's starting on his own play-by-play company or website. And so we connected there and produced some contact for smaller sports across the country. So the thing that they contacted you and they got the last year at Weston and Champton was that I think it was a macro result that they had with the online streaming stuff because with the signal now is much lower than it has been in the past, so you can rely more on the online side of things. So if we're able to utilize these smaller upcoming companies that are trying to get involved with schools or smaller stations, it could be really beneficial to bring yourself and the viewership and everything else is really expand the knowledge that everyone has in the downtown campus, even on the other campuses, including Cafe and general capacity.
Awesome. Do any members of the Senate or executive questions for the individuals? Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, you guys. Now,
Thank you very much.
Joe Freeman, how's it going, sir?
Good, how are you guys? So, I'm Noah Friedman. I'm also with Blaze Radio, but I was not on that trip with them. Instead, I went to Seattle, Washington at the same time as them to cover the Pac-12 women's basketball tournament. And while I was there, I was able to broadcast a couple of games and write a couple of recaps for the Arizona State women's basketball team. Their run ended right before the weekend started, so I wasn't able to get the full experience because the team was bounced in the second round of the tournament. But while I was there, I was able to get a lot of exposure for the radio station. A lot of people listen to the broadcast because what we try to do with Blaze Radio, as everybody said, is really cover all the different kinds of events that Arizona State sports have to offer. And it's just a really great opportunity to go up to Seattle and showcase my talent and realize that as a junior in college, I could do something like this. Thanks as always to you guys for being so lenient with the funding for Blaze Radio. So just in general, I thought it was a great experience for me, and it really showcased a lot of what we do as journalists at Arizona State.
Thank you so much, Noah. Are there any other members of the audience who wish to speak at this time? Oh, I didn't see you there. Sorry.
I'm Sam Picaro from Denver Detail. Like Noah, I went to Seattle as well with me and 3 others to the Pac-12 Badminton in Seattle. This was the first time we covered ASU on the road. We've only covered them in Tempe, so it was an experience for us all. So we used the funding for transportation primarily, airfare, Ubers to and from the hotel. And then, so we got to cover ASU. We stayed through the whole tournament though, so it's good for us to get exposed to a week-long tournament, especially writing a lot on deadlines. We wrote about 8 articles over the 2 ASU games. And so, yeah, it was a really good experience. We could definitely promote this using our club. Like, it was me and then we have a freshman came with me. So, like, starting out as a freshman, you can go on the road and cover a big event like the Pac-12. So, once again, thank you guys for the fun.
Any questions? Thank you so
All
much.
right, thank you.
I'm here, I'm Dana Smith, I'm representing PRC.
Oh, yeah, so we'll get to that in a second. So are there any other members of the audience? Okay, now moving on to funding requests, PRS. So could you just, could you introduce, or let us know what this funding is for?
So the funding is for the transportation and go to the Grand Canyon, along with a professor in her class. They're going on like a research thing to look at stuff. So we just basically provide them with like camp safety, hook up the tents, we feed them, we make sure that they're hydrated. We also go to a workshop with the park ranger and they teach us like what they do, make sure that we understand camp safety and all the rules of camping.
Awesome. Do any members of the Senate have questions about the funding request or about the materials provided? Awesome. Do you guys rather do a vote by acclamation or roll call? Acclamation. So is there a motion to vote by acclamation?
I'm going to vote by acclamation.
So all those in favor of approving PRSA's funding request for $220.56, say aye. Just done.
Without sections.
Okay, cool. So we have approved it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now moving on to first read legislation, Senate Resolution 17 is under motion to discuss. Seeing no objection, are there any objections? Seeing none, the resolution on the floor. Would you like to introduce it?
So this bill, something that this resolution is something that Brian and I worked on. It is basically giving a little bit more protection for the freedom of speech that they give the press to journalism students. And the cool thing about this bill in the Senate is that it's introduced by somebody who's a former journalist. So they really know what it can do and how it can protect stuff. We think it's really good, especially for convict senators, that students can have this extra protection because that's something that we all as student journalists really think is of utmost importance. Hopefully you guys all went through the actual resolution. That's kind of a synopsis of what it does. It just provides additional free speech and for us to journalism students make sure that they're able to do their job and to
So I know we tabled yesterday on the phone, you know, feedback was elected in regards to this resolution.
I was not part of the tabling, but Mary Ann was there. I don't believe that feedback was done. Yeah, so the reason that we didn't think feedback was necessary on this is because of the fact that it was a former student journalist that proposed it, as well as it's kind of basic knowledge that somebody in the field of journalism would want additional free speech and press protected. Like, that's just kind of basic. So we didn't think it was necessary to be inefficient.
Is there any discussion? Yes, Senator Joseph.
What exactly, what issues are you having?
There's not any particular tangible issues with the passing of the crisis. This is just kind of a preemptive strike, especially with some of the administration that it could fighting with the press. So this is just protecting them.
So Director Nathan, Senator.
So I believe this is more built as schools are support of students rather than actually giving protection to the students.
Yeah.
Voicing our support for the students to do what they do basically.
Yes.
So the actual, the state bill grants further protections. We are
We're
supporting that bill.
Yeah.
Since there's no like tangible problems, what exactly was that student's concern going on?
Okay, so their concern is that with the coming, like, animosity with politicians and press, that go that way, but it's also just never a bad idea to give protections and stuff, so upholds the democracy that we live in, so.
I think slightly anecdotally, I may be misremembering this, but I believe in committee they were discussing that there have been certain high schools that have been infringed upon. Generally, high schools, student newspapers are run as like an arts class or some sort of course, and then the person who is the editor is the teacher, and obviously they wouldn't want to get in trouble from the administration of those high schools. So there is some fear that those teachers, or rather the entire administration, have been not wanting to either show or publish something that the schools or the students have been doing wrong. So I remember that being discussed.
My question is, the bill says, excuse me, Senate resolution says, press protections for students. So, I mean, what will this do? I mean, I know it's like a stance that we're taking, but what are the current protections? Are there certain protections in Arizona, particularly right now, that any journalist can educate me on?
Okay. I think, so to respond for Senator Ross.
No.
In regards to those infringements for high schoolers, it's a tough situation for high schoolers to be fully granted the constitutional protections of First Amendment. It shouldn't be, but it is. I think that the Arizona Senate wanted to make sure that all people were represented by the Constitution. So with this bill, I think they wanted to make as clear as possible that students, regardless of age, are protected by the First Amendment. And their publishing, their exercising the free press shouldn't be infringed upon.
It also translates a lot to our student journalism and state press publications. That way that they're free to publish things that maybe aren't so pretty about the school. Yes, so I actually looked into this at my internship, and originally a big problem with the bill is that it placed a lot of the sort of responsibility of school-sponsored media into student advisors. So it was transferring the power from, let's say, like the principal of an organization to student advisors. And so they striked that, which was good, but then in subsection H, it says any expression made by a student in school-sponsored media is not deemed to be an expression
by or on behalf of the school, community, college, or university. So basically, it's separating the two entities and saying that, you know, if I say something against the university, it's not an expression of it's an expression of where
Further discussion on the floor. Quick point of clarification, I would recommend that this be moved to second reading for next meeting, just so we could possibly get feedback rather than this meeting. March, so that's on March 31st. So now with the second on the floor, but the Director of Administration is doing roll call.
Point of order.
Yes.
To move it from one to the next, you don't need to have a roll call vote. It's just a motion.
Simply?
A question, second.
Okay, so this, could you rescind your second and your rescind your motion? Could you please move this to second read legislation next meeting on March 31st?
I move to Senate Resolution 17 to the next Senate meeting on March 31st.
There's a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, okay, move to second read legislation of next meeting. Now moving on to second read legislation, is there a motion to discuss? Is there a second? Any objections? Seeing none, this legislation is on the floor for discussion. Now let's Senate Bill 24 first. So this was the bill that we discussed last meeting. I recommended we table it until this meeting so that the amendments that were brought to us by a constituent could be made. The concerns that constituent had with the prior Senate Bill 24 that it may have set a harmful precedent in terms of getting funding approved. It rather wanted to make the language less specific, but still place a heavy recommendation of bordering on requirement, it is a requirement on getting funding to, or a funding request for travel in 10 days before that travel. The codification of this in our bylaws, we wanted, or the reason behind the codification is that we wanted to make it as clear as possible through both our bylaws, the website, and the Director of Finance to student oriented individuals that they need to do this in order to get funding approved. We had issues, or travel funding approved, we had issues with some student organizations and some students not getting or meeting that deadline, and we just wanted to implement it into our bylaws to always have that as clear as possible. Not simply it's on our website, we make it clear at SDC meetings, but it's actually in our bylaws. Is there any discussion? Is there a motion to approve Senate Bill 24? So now, can the Director of Administration?
Senator Joseph. Senator Dan.
Aye.
Senator Rose. Aye. Senator Sobey.
Aye.
Senator Powers. Senator Cordova.
Aye.
Senator Hernandez.
Aye.
Senator Robinson. Aye. Oh, sorry. Senator Omari.
Absent.
Senator Gader.
Absent. Aye. So with the vote of 10 ayes, 2 absent, Senate Bill 24 is approved. Now moving on to Senate Bill 26. Would either Oscar or Senator Hernandez or Senator Cordova introduce this legislation?
Yeah, again, it's very important, just as that it updates the chief of staff position to mandate that they come up with a community service event each semester and that they arrange our participation in that event. There's really no restriction on what the event has, when it is. And in the following two bills, I'm just saying, second board member, strike and save something.
Are there any questions about this or discussion on the floor? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve Senate Bill 26?
I move to approve Senate Bill.
Director of Administration, can you please give the roll call?
Senator Kirk? Senator Joseph? Senator Galen? Senator Rhodes? Senator Solheim? Senator Powell? Senator Del Mario? Senator Cordova?
I'm sorry.
Senator Hernandez?
Aye.
Senator Robinson? Senator Rivera?
Absent.
Senator Sandra?
Aye. Your vote of 10 ayes, 0 nays, and zero absence, or 2 absent, rather, sorry. Senate Bill 26 passes. Now moving on to Senate Bill 27, Senator Hernandez, can you please introduce this bill as well?
It is just saying that the executive order is starting to abide to the new changes.
Is there any discussion?
I move to the,
Is there a second? Director of Administration, can you please go to the roll?
Senator Kirk? Senator Joseph? Senator Galen? Senator Rhodes? Senator Solheim? Senator Powell? Senator Del Mario? Senator Cordova? Senator Hernandez? Senator Robinson? Senator Rivera?
Absent.
Senator Hernandez?
Vote of 10 ayes, 0 nays, and 2 absent. Senate Bill 27, now moving on to Senate Bill 28. Senator Hernandez, can you please briefly introduce that?
Senate Bill 28 is, mandates that Senate applies to Senate Bill.
Or else again.
Second.
Director of Administration, can you please go to the roll?
Senator Kirk? Senator Joseph? Senator Thielen? Senator Rhodes? Senator Solheim? Senator Powell? Senator Del Mario?
Absent.
Senator Cordova? Senator Hernandez? Senator Robinson? Senator Rivera?
Absent.
Senator Hernandez?
You voted 10 ayes, 0 nays, and 2 abstentions. You approved Senate Bill 28. Now moving on to executive reports, starting with President Dana. All right. Happy Friday, everyone. It's so great to see all of you. I hope you all had a restful and safe spring break. Really from the get-go this week has been insane. It's several projects currently working on. For example, my focuses this week really included finding the Supreme Court justice. I'm excited to announce that I've had 3 students email me within the last 24 hours, so we can finally get that position brought to enrollment. Special shout out to Director Fernandez for getting working on the website and all of our staff to help market the position within the last 24 hours. I really appreciate the support and making sure that we have that position filled. In addition, I've worked on contacting EBC members throughout this week, and I haven't gotten any response yet. But we'll be sending a follow-up email over the weekend. But speaking of what we're doing over the weekend, tomorrow morning I'll be attending the MOWA. Additionally, I'll be attending the leadership walk-in tomorrow night. But also, and equally as exciting, finalizing the draft of the student fee budget, which will be presented by Ainsman and Dr. Ryan Wednesday at COP. Continuing priorities from the budgetary perspective, we'll be promoting the 3 themes of collaboration, support, and service. As student government, we're extremely fortunate to be able to have the financial means to collaborate with other organizations such as PA and sports clubs, support our students and their many initiatives by means of student organization support, and finally provide services such as transportation. While specifics of the budget and relevant terms of the numbers standpoint are not finite, I can promise that these priorities in the budget, that these are priorities the budget will reflect. Thank you to Director Berg, thank you, and our awesome advisor, been the honor for their assistance and support throughout this process. On a more serious note, as many of you may be aware, President Thoreau recently released the tuition numbers for 2017-2018. As to the specifics, if you not read any of the articles, there will be 1.5% tuition increase, which would amount to $150 per year for resident undergraduate students. The 1.5% increase for resident graduate students will amount to $160 for non-resident undergraduate students. As a result of the 3.5% increase, tuition will relatively increase by $900 and $990 respectively. For international students,
undergraduate and graduate, as a result of the 4.5% increase, tuition would increase by 1,240 and 1,350. As for the response to the council presidents, I just want to give you insight on what the next week will consist of. Over the weekend, in addition to doing the response thing, I'll be in charge of drafting the council of presidents response. Really just want to give you insight of what the themes are in response are, and then following the meeting, if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out, because we do appreciate your feedback. I definitely value your feedback as a Senate, because you do represent all students on the downtown campus. And so, as consumers, it's noted that raising prices are never a celebrated issue, and the students who pay tuition really recognize that as well, in the sense that the unfortunate reality is that there is a necessity of tuition increases due to state funding on a per person basis not being enough to mitigate or fully eliminate the necessity of tuition increases. Additionally, there's necessity due to the cost of inflation and for continued enrollment growth at ASU. While many of us are aware, and I do value, celebrate deeply, the ASU prides itself on being an institution, not whom they exclude, but whom they include and they succeed. But this does come with many operational realities, of which are listed above, and we'll be going into more specifics in the response letter. But really, in the spirit of an inclusive institution, it's important to note the massive amount of tuition reinvestment, specifically to financial aid, which really highlights the university's commitment to making sure that the effects of the tuition increase are as minimal as possible. But if you ever encounter students who are impacted by tuition increases or just changes in circumstances regarding their financial status, please either put in contact with the student's office so that Dean Smith can connect the resources that they need. And if you need help connecting them to Dean Smith or any other resource on the institution, please reach out to them as well. And lastly, as regards to higher education in general, I think this issue highlights the importance of staying involved, whether you're from an informative standpoint and a political standpoint, in the sense that have the eyes to stay informed so we can further inform students, but then also, I know something that our policy department, Vice President Policy, Mr. Arwood, and Ryan, really try to do their part, and many others throughout this communication and connecting students to the representatives from a government perspective, if that's us, or to a community perspective, or from a state perspective, in the sense that really making sure that they know who the representatives are, and so that they have the ability to voice why higher education is important to them. So if you have any questions on specifics, further specifics of what the tuition letter will consist of, I kind of gave you the brief synopsis. There'll probably be a few more data points in that whole document, but I'll be working on that. Hopefully we can certainly have any questions, comments, concerns about that specifically. I'll be sticking around for about an hour after the meeting, but if not, please feel free to text me. I hope you all have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week. I'm good.
Now moving on to Vice President of Policy. All right, President Damon listed off the numbers for you, just to let you know, on March 28th, from 5 to 7 p.m. in this room, April will be hosting on the screen here the town hall, essentially, the hearing where students can come and present their concerns or questions, the regions about the tuition proposals. So that's definitely something we need to engage our community on, and so come make their voices heard, because as these are, they are just proposals at this point, they aren't approved yet. And so there's still time for us to look at them and make sure that every dollar that's being spent is going to a worthy cause. Then on March 30th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., there will be a tuition workshop where the university president will be presenting their proposals. Still looking at whether or not that's going to be attended in person, but there will be a live stream of it. And that way, that might give us some more clarity on where everyone is going to be going towards. But in terms of my work, this last week, over spring break, I went and visited the county recorder's office to find out some of the issues that we dealt with in the last year in terms of voter registration. If you didn't know, 2,000 ASU students were disenfranchised from the elections last year. But luckily for our department down here, we did a good job. Director Lee, as you remember, hosted the event last year. We did everything correctly, but there were people on the Tempe campus, we're not entirely sure who it was, but they turned in copies of voter registration forms instead of the original documents. The state of Arizona, in order for anything to be an acceptable document, it needs to be the original document, at least the reported documents for so that's the reason why students lost their ability to vote then. So I'm going to be writing some recommendations for future administrations on how to get through that issue. My primary suggestion is just to register them through the online link that Arizona already provides. And worry about copies and the original documents. But the other thing he presented was that they're having issues with counting votes in a short amount of time. They're having issues with being poll workers. They pay poll workers $125 a day here in Arizona. They pay people to count ballots at $10 an hour. I can send you all the details on that, but he was wondering if we might be interested in partnering with them to provide students jobs. So that's something I'm very much interested in pursuing, and I've been talking to President Nehemiah about it, and our entire president's meeting about. So I'm going to be looking into how we could possibly come up with an innovative solution to a problem in the community and maybe help reduce tuition for students here at ASU that feel like they're paying a lot of money. So that's something I'm going to be working with. I'm also going to be directing a lot of this towards Director Lee in the case that we are able to get a deal by the end of this term. That way he can pass it on to the future directors of state municipal affairs. And then also, also I met with some sustainability experts down at a farm in South Phoenix just to see some of the ideas they might have for campus here. One of the big things they talked to me about was food deserts on campus. And they were telling me that a lot of students feel like they can't go get fresh food somewhere. And I told them about our Seminole Express, and he feels like that was a very innovative way to kind of resolve that issue. So in talking about the Seminole Express, I'm creating a report on it for our Senate to review, as well as the executive board. So that should be done in the next week or so. I've also been in contact with ASU lobbyists about some ideas. I'll be presenting for next week just to see if there's possibilities for us to work on initiatives together. And then also be attending on Monday a meeting with President Klein, President of the Arizona Board of Regents, with President Dagerbaum, starting kind of some of the tuition proposals. And then finally, I'm not going to be at next week's e-board meeting because I have an interview from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. that day. So with that, I conclude my
Any questions? Thank you. Excuse me for being on the bill today. So my updates today, so I'm meeting next week with Market Transit Services, where this is the Express. Next week, also next week is passport meetings. During the end, we'll be talking a lot more passport meetings. Just to remind you all that it's Wednesday from 6 to 9, and it's the next space mark. So we're just seeing you all there. Very fast. So this is community issues, student engagement, as before. I'm extremely thankful for the support everyone has contributed, and has been overwhelming. Our JP Change Maker and USGD are collaborating to bring many entities together for this event, and I'm proud to have students have their own pride, dedication, and commitment. So we want to acknowledge those who are assisting in this project. The event is scheduled for April 4th. And that will be the same time, 6 to 9, 7 Park. So you guys have calendars. I would appreciate if you put into those calendars as well. And my last update for you all is that there are 3 absences that will not be attendance. 24, 31,
24/7. And that's all something that's rather short, completely quick. There's conferences that I'm coming up, and I'll be attending. I represent the ASU at, I built in my absolute passports already, and I've let our executive board know about these conferences. So I will hear that able to reach me on those Friday meetings. I will be out of town to that, but I always get an email, text message, and phone for feedback and collaboration. Other than that, I accept any questions.
Now moving on to Chief of Staff. Now moving on to Chief of Staff.
Hi, everybody. So I'm sorry that I've been kind of missing in action this week. I'm sick. I had strep and an ear infection and was allergic to my medication. So that was really fun. I'm still working on the e-course. It should be finished by the very latest by the first week of April. That's what I'm aiming for. I need a couple of volunteers that are willing to take the course for feedback. If you just love student government or learn everything there is to know about it. And then director guides, I'm going to be following up with you guys next week, I believe on Monday or Tuesday, to talk to you about if your director guide is getting worked on and all that good stuff, and follow up with you on that. Devils in disguise, we are set up to host a site, but we were set up to host a site on Tempe, so we're changing it right now, so that we don't have to go all the way to Tempe at 6:30 a.m. So once I have all the details for that, I will let you guys know. And then congratulations on those strikes this week. That's so awesome. Keep it up.
Thank you, staff. As an organization, we have downtown, Young Life downtown. They're actually collaborating for a Skype as well. I don't have the details on that, but we're going to meet with the leadership of the organization. I'm happy to say that they're doing a lot of initiatives with the community. So it's just an update. Thank you.
So, you good? Yeah. Awesome. Now moving on to director, before starting with the director.
So I have a lot of updates. I'm actually working on my new change. It's pretty much kind of what I've been working on this week. Communication with Jake, and also just kind of focusing more to Facebook.
Now moving on to Director of Public Relations.
So this week, Director Candace and I are working on an interactive website, our interactive calendar on the website. And it'll have all of our events and meetings on it, and like the flyers will be attached to it too, and links so that students can, it links to our Facebook so students can RSVP to events in the calendar. So that would be really cool if we have like this coming week. And then intern bios, ones that I've received was on the website if you guys want to read about our interns. And blog post dates, I hope you guys all got my email. Executive board we do Monday, April 3rd, and Senate we do Monday, April 10th.
Awesome. Now moving on to.
Oh, I have them.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Director.
Hello from Louisiana. Sorry I couldn't be there today, but I will see you all next week. This week I met with Caitlin and we started working on an interactive calendar for our website. My goal for this website is to get everyone on the same page. We have USGD Facebook events, senators, college pages, Facebook events, student calendar, and Google Calendar. This will hopefully bring all of our events together in a fun, interactive way that is available to all our constituents. You'll be able to post flyers, link websites, etc. in the new website. I'm super excited for this, so thanks, Caitlin, for working on it. I ordered passport marketing last week, so it should have been here by yesterday. I've let my intern Kim and Dr. Hong know what it is coming, and they have offered setting it up in my absence. If anyone would like to please help, let them know. I will order the passports that students will use to collect stamps today, and they should come in by Monday or Tuesday. I ordered them later since they're less of marketing and more something needed for the actual event. Thank you, BAC, for approving my funding request. I will be ordering a few pens in the upcoming weeks. I will be working throughout the weekend using the hotel Wi-Fi, so if you need me or have any questions, please text or email me. Have a happy Friday.
Now moving on to the Director of Finance.
All right, so far we have allocated $139,309.42 to students, and we have $113,400 allocate to students. So that's it on the numbers. I emailed you all the student fee presentation as well. $113,049. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, I emailed you all the updated presentation, and I'm still keeping track of having individuals as well. If you'd like to see that, just shoot me an email. I would like to thank our guests from Tempe Appropriations for being here, and I finally found an email. I apologize for the inconvenience that all of this has caused. I will do my best.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm sending you something with the comment on their budget. So, and I'll send you what we told them. So, awesome.
But yeah, definitely, I just want to figure this out and figure out how to get them money. That's definitely an issue. So, also, as Jackson touched on, there are plans to finalize the budget, and I'm excited to get the ball rolling on that. But other than that, I don't really have any updates.
Now moving on to the Director of Local Affairs.
Hi, everybody. I'm also sick, so sorry. So first and foremost, we have passport. I did not have the sign-up sheet earlier today, so please send your availability. It's our biggest deal to do that, so I'm doing as much help as possible. Set up meetings at 4:30 in the office, and will probably go until 11. It's just whenever we get cleared out. So that's passport. The floor plan is done. 3 indicators ordered. Shows on ordered the hats, since they do not screen print hats. They were going to come in on time, so we're going to do a hat making kind of scan area. So people can come and like decorate their balloon hats and whatever they want on it, and that way they kind of have to sit down and we can have an opportunity to talk to them while they're making their hats. So for passport, please let me know if you're able to talk about that. Everything else is pretty much finalized. Second thing, Thursday market, we're working with BAC on our flea market. Just letting everyone know who's helping out with that. Please have your vendors shop down by the end of the month. I want to make sure we have them all ready to go before April begins. And then keep on brainstorming. We have until the end of the month, so no rush on that. And then for our nature executive board event, the Arizona Community Society, their cuddle bunch is already booked, but I reached out to the Nash unit at the Critical County Shelter to see if they can attend. If not, we should change the agenda or just change the date if everyone still likes to be happy with it. So if you have any questions, please send me a mail. You will need everything, but that's all I have for that.
To the Director of Safety as well.
Hey guys, still not a lot happening here. Legislation, most of the concerning bills have either died or just kind of faded off into the sunsets. But if anybody has bills at the legislature that you were specifically interested in due to your college or whatever that you'd like me to keep an eye on, just let me know and I'll track those. The state budget, still keeping an eye out for that, but given the past experience, it's unlikely to be soon. It might need to be after this legislature is the 11th legislature. So it may happen for you guys, it may not, but regardless, I know also keeping his eye out. ABOR, I apologize, I forgot to send the sign-up sheet for 2 weeks. So, but I did send it out, and we're still 3 weeks away, so there's still plenty of time to sign up, figure out whether or not you can go. I'm prioritizing senators who have the option of returning next year. I'm not going to make it in the sense that that if you're a senior you can't go, but I'm prioritizing the people who can use this as a learning experience. And then past that, I'm going to prioritize e-board members who can use this as a learning experience that we can bring it back next year. So it's all out there. Don't put your name in a car until you're very sure that you can actually go. This weekend I'm going to be doing the final preparations for board, I guess. Hopefully we will need to deal with hotel with our connections, but depending on how many people are actually interested, we may have to. But please, like, if you're interested in going, fill it out pretty soon so I can get that stuff rolling. Additionally, I'm going to be working with Jade to try to work on this Robert's rules and Senate forum type training module. It's tough. This is a tough thing to teach in a video. It's a tough thing to teach anywhere other than a meeting like this. But obviously, we don't want to be spending a lot of time trying to work our way through meetings in the middle of the meeting. So we're going to try to figure out a way that can work to teach the Senate both now and for the future how to move these duties a little bit more effectively. Anybody has any questions?
I would just, in terms of legislation at the legislature, I would keep an eye out for committee on the whole bills. They tend to have strike everything amendments, and those could be potentially detrimental. That's what would we
a specific number?
No, not right now. I'm just saying that's how with the profile bill. That's how that one was passed. It was the last second strike.
Yeah, I understand that, but I meant more than specifically, like if a senator had a specific bill that was very relevant to them in their pursuits, like the whatever.
Oh, yeah.
The one that we will have at the next Senate meeting, something like that, where they'd like some interest. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. Any more? Now moving on to Senate reports, starting with the Senate President. So it's been a good week in terms of drafting the new director position. I was able to meet with Senator Tobin as well as his counterpart at the Center for the Study of Race and Democracy, adjournment. That was very insightful in terms of what they are trying to accomplish at CSRD and how that new position could accomplish similar goals, but also collaborate with the center in terms of events as well as efforts in creating and sponsoring events. Kyra and I, as well as Senator Tobin, are going to touch base again after they go to the conference next week. This conference will very much help them develop the skills to have dialogue along in terms of race at this weekend. Anything that may be touchy subject so that we can accomplish our goals in inclusivity and diversity. In terms of the SD, or rather the sub-level express, we're going to be reevaluating recapping that discussion next week at caucus. Bless you. President Damerman and I are going to be sitting down sometime next week to evaluate the term contract and see what those exact terms lay out, as well as possible new shuttle services. So we will be collaborating again next week on that and attempting to come to a consensus by the end of next week, or consensus rather, the end of next week. In terms of their responsibilities, Senator Chris and I are attempting to, or rather, are scheduling a meeting with the dean either next week or the following week to discuss Mr. Boyd's concerns along the lines of transparency within the Barrett College Council, seeing where that fee is being allocated, how it's being used, as well as trying to get back in the discussion regarding honors credits and that issue. We still have, as well as discussing new space possibilities for the upcoming year or following years to come. Our dean was very, very open and actually looking for either a larger space or a different space in the campus before even reevaluating the space we currently have and utilizing, trying to see if that can be better used for the needs of our students. And also regarding action of the legislature, this week I, as well as President Dagerman, were able, as well as VPR, we're able to draft a letter that we will be sending to the Senate Education Committee next week regarding the hearing of HB 2361, which is the bill that would mandate a checklist for A4 undergraduate requirements on Arizona high school transcripts and report cards. We had decided to wait on action this week in an attempt to bring this to the attention of the entirety of COP. The majority of COP were very much in support of it. Some governments wanted to evaluate it and come to us with their feedback later. But we very much want action on this now, and if the feedback can be given in a timely manner, we feel that it be necessary and needed to.
I'm curious as to who had apprehensions about supporting it and what was the timetable for them to make a decision.
So in regards to apprehensions, I would say apprehensions just want to evaluate it. I'll let the President Baker speak to that.
Yeah, no, it's really reiterating what's in the President just said. It's not so much in the general apprehensions. It's taking the time to evaluate it in a manner that may not be conducive to our willingness to want to act on this issue. We are going to be following with the branches who are taking a little bit more time to get back to the topic, so that way we can get things moving. Otherwise, we can put out the signatures necessary for it to send forward. If not, we will come up with an alternative on the issues.
Any discussion on the floor? Okay, I am going to yield the time to my counterpart.
Hi everyone. So this week I scheduled a meeting with the College of Public Affairs manager from the this Tuesday at 3. And I ran into kind of a situation because college has so many majors in different colleges that I would have to meet with all of them in order to make my plan work, which is to gather information on how the relations are between there and these colleges. So I have to reevaluate how I'm going to make that happen in the next few weeks. For Earth Day Market and EAC, I had contact with Whole Foods and just kind of explaining what we need from them. And I started compiling information for their college relations project. And like I said, it's going to be a little bit difficult to process.
Now moving on to the CHS.
Okay, so this first week back, it's a little bit exciting. The search for the dean has commenced, and there's 4 candidates that they've got narrowed down to, and this week, Becky and I have been able to attend do the interviews with the candidates and ask them questions on behalf of our students. The first candidate was Deb Holzer. Didn't really get an answer from her. The question I asked her was, like, what are your thoughts when it comes to teams directly interacting with students, and what that would like if you became the new CHS? And she thought that was a hard question, so I wasn't like too impressed with that. But the second candidate, Tracy Collins, she had a really good answer to it, and she talked about making herself available at that time every week for students to come and talk to her. She referenced working closely with us and looking for more outlets for reaching students and engaging with students, and making sure that all students feel supported and welcome. So at this point, Tracy is got the upper hand. But overall, all the candidates are highly qualified for the position. I think it's just going to come down to personalities. And then plans for this next week. I want to wrap the survey to get students' feedback on social media, what's up there, and how to receive information. But I think that's something that we have done. I just want to make sure that when we are marketing, we're being responsible. Anyone wants to help out with that?
So, alongside there at the current with the active media stuff, and other than that, we have a possible advisor for Dr. David, and then the flyer for international inclusion forum is going up next week, and we plan to start offer in 2 weeks or so. Yeah.
Oh, yes, I'm
Thank you. My recommendation to you, Sarah, was to definitely connect with our communications department. And we should do that survey as well as price and Marianne. We can actually relate survey. Would impact our students.
Got it. Other games.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Now moving on to CISA senators.
So this week, I contacted Jimmy Doc about birthday, and they're going to give us that big, party flyer for the day. Also, John Juice days for this week. I'm reading the numbers back from Brandon, who's the manager we work with. So we'll see how that goes. We're there, see what we want to support, if they're not, location that works best.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you if, I know that you don't have the numbers, but how was the general health?
Wednesday, it was lower compared to Thursday. I know that. I think it was due to the time frame that it was held at, and also didn't really have that much traffic going on Wednesday, 11 to 2 o'clock. So, but Thursday went a lot better. As soon as you walk through the SUC, it was right there. So long after we saw it, it was easier to access.
So, this week, when I first met with Senator Smith and trying to regarding the diversity position. In addition, I attended a meeting with diversity leaders from the Center for Indian Education regarding Project Gold, which I've been invited to be a part of in addition to this. I hope to bring back those findings from Project Gold back to the Senate President to also enhance his ability to track the director diversity position. I also attempted to actually write legislation. I wrote a resolution for support of again, when I first came on board, I wanted to meet with the dean to discuss ideas for follow-up and season getting inclusion for CISA. I set that meeting being run just today, and we can sell plans and
Yeah, we will be hearing that resolution. Now moving on to the conference.
So, Sarah Bell, is actually regards to our walk. She's there right now. She's doing like a walkthrough, so she's seeing the terrain, I guess, and doing the trails and everything. So I don't know what she's doing over there, but that was good. And then most of mine is regards to the walk as well. We got funding on Wednesday from BC for our trolley transportation service. That's what we do from the other place. I enjoy it. But and we have so that's tomorrow morning, so after that, on the different initiatives, we have another walk coming up, it's called the Park Walk, and that's with Barrett. So we're gonna be putting that together, and there's also Barrett Student Nursing Club that's on our house right now, and their advisor reached out to us to try and be nurses. So we're gonna try to. So that's that.
Now moving on to the council senators.
So this week, we spent there's a programs, thanks to Jimmy for bringing that to our attention. So off-screen governor, she's actually collecting some feedback from the students within her program and seeing if they have similar experiences. When she receives those results, she'll be sending those over to us. Somebody's having hospice next Saturday. There is a conference, the cooperative. There's a lot of leaders in the community. It's open to anybody on campus, so if you are interested, that's all right, so we have that meeting scheduled for next week. That'll be fun.
And just
better solution that's gonna provide financial aid and help the small students teaching and learning.
Any other questions? Any discussion? Now moving on to the comments.
Yes. I'm very sick, just like Marianne, so I'm very. So this week, basically what I was doing was working on the funding of BSC, those brought to BSC. I guess the last BSC I was presented, but we already have one question, but we did what Ms. Jackson recommended. We made some changes. We sent it back to Ms. Jackson, and now we're just waiting on final approval for them to bring it back to BSC. You guys, so hopefully that will all get squared away before the end of the year. Russ and I met and made amendments to the code that I drafted up, like the contract with the students. We worked on the resolution on this, you guys just voted on, thank you. But most of it is just trying to finish up that funding, so if you guys have questions on that, just ask.
Yeah, so I think specific to the policy, not necessarily the actual funding request, but the way we definitely discuss in office, so everyone can be a part of that.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we did the policy. Our main thing is that we want to, our main thing is that we want to make sure that everybody who has access to the equipment knows how to use the equipment, because some of it, especially the cameras, we're not. Like I can't even use the camera because I'm not trained to, so we don't want to get them broken and we're paying that kind of money for it. So that's the main thing. So if you guys have any ideas of how we can make sure that students have access to that with that training, let us know, and we'll talk about it in the office next week too. But we did make changes. So any questions on that?
Did you get something for us?
No, because I finished mine, so yeah, we met policy and then.
Now moving on to advisory. Do you have anything for us? Awesome.
How did the thing for the game go? The event, the floor? Yeah.
Point of clarification, I did.
Actually, I'd like to add on to that. Housing was really involved as well, so our community assistants and our residential coordinators were there. I walked down with their students, they walked to the playground, the game, fun, we ate brunch, like barbecue, breakfast, just really good. And it was just nice to see some of our staff members there. So those who attended, thank you for coming. I think it was good engagement. Together.
Any further discussion? Okay, moving on to new business, seeing none. Moving on to old business, seeing none. Moving on to final statements. Any final statements? Director?
So I just wanted to thank Senator from the Tempe campus for coming to the whole meeting. It's I know you've seen me at your guys' meetings, and it's really nice to have someone at our meeting finally. That's really awesome. I just really appreciate that you came and actually sat through the whole thing. I know it's kind of dry, and I know I've sat through some meetings as well. So, but I appreciate that you're here, and I'm glad you sit in.
I just want to say how proud I am of all of you for all the work you've been doing, and just want to let you know that we're getting close to the end now. So really put in put in hard work right now because you're not going to be able to get much done in that last week, last 2 weeks. So think about how you want to end this year and what you can take away for students for this year, and let's get it done and make the change.
Thank you. I'd also like to put on your radar, please get familiar with that elections code, it's really nice. It's really something important to document that all of us have passed right in the Senate. So please get familiar with that as well, because constituents will be asking about that. So thank you.
Thank you so much for being here today. I'd like to thank my grandfather for attending.
Casey mentioned, he said, I thought he was too liberal on something, and that's the first experience I've had with him.
Now, it's a big one.
I just wanted to say thank you for all of your support, especially like throughout this semester and this year. Definitely this week, it's been a crazy week, and the next 2 weeks, the University of Level will be really crazy support. So I just want to say thank you in advance for everything you do as a team for our students, and also for me. It's really great knowing that I have the support downtown. And again, if there's anything you ever need from me, my phone is always on. My office is always open.
Any more final statements? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn this meeting? Are there any objections? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned at 4:27 p.m. We're still live, by the way. Just remember that. Oh, so.
Jackson, I'll check it.
Guys, there's some